Okay, great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Kishan Zuber. I'm the Vice President of Enrollment Management and Marketing here at Wilkes. And today we're going to have a conversation about student life and health and wellness, and generally how we put students first and the type of considerations we have for students. We've got a great group of panelists and presenters here for you. So I'm going to just turn it right over to them and let them introduce themselves, and they can get started. Mark, how about we start with you?
Hi, my name is Mark Allen, and I'm the Vice President of Student Affairs. Welcome, everyone. First of all, congratulations on your acceptance, and I hope you found the past couple of days to be very informative if you've joined other sessions. Chances are you would have met with some other colleagues in student life and student affairs as we cover areas like orientation and residence life and career services and internships, to name a few. But today our focus is going to be on some very important information relative to health, safety, and wellness around campus. Those topics are extremely important, especially in the day and age in which we live. And we're also going to cover another very important high priority item at the institution, and that deals with the importance of fostering diversity and inclusion on campus and among us. So that's kind of the lay of the land. My associate dean, who's going to talk to us a little bit about health and wellness. So Gretchen, if you would.
Yes, I would. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gretchen Yaninis, and as Mark said, I am one of the associate deans in student affairs. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit about our health and wellness services that we have on campus. We have a wonderful little office that takes care of a variety of different physical well-being and mental well-being issues for all of our students. We have 2 full-time nurses who are with us on campus, and we have a physician that comes in and spends hours with us during the week. So really, if your student is feeling ill at any time or needs regular checkups on any kind of regular basis, we have the staff that can help them out with that kind of thing. I'll go into a little bit of the services that we offer on the physical well-being side, and then I'll talk a little bit about the mental well-being as well. Our nursing staff is certainly capable of handling a variety of issues, and if it's something that's bigger that needs to be sent out to either the hospital or a local doctor for further evaluation, they have the connections to do that. If your student is someone who has for example, regular medicines that they need to take that need refrigeration, those things can be stored and administered at our health services office. So, those are things that you could talk about with our nurses. They also are able to do any kind of regular, say, lab work or blood work that needs to be done for students. That all can be done right there on campus and sent out for evaluation. So they really are a very full service office. When students do come in and are ill and require any kind of medication, there's usually either no charge or a very low charge for any of the antibiotics that they might need for a minor illness of some sort. So those are all things, again, that can be done right there on campus. Added services that they offer include some health screenings over the course of the year. They do some educational type activities throughout the year. We'll set up in the student center, so they kind of are right there in the heart of talking with all of our students in the busiest building on campus. And when things arise, for example, a sprained ankle or something along those lines, they can provide crutches. We have vaporizers, heating pads, all those kinds of things. So again, those are things that are right there on campus. Your student doesn't even have to go out to a local pharmacy for those kinds of items. They can come and borrow those right there from health services.
Gretchen, I'm sorry, if I could interrupt for just a second.
Sure thing.
I failed to mention that, those who are listening to us can certainly type in their questions using the question answer feature that would be helpful to us. But while I have the microphone, I'd also mentioned it, and I think Gretchen discussed that the health service is open from 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, but we do have provisions. Obviously, you don't get sick within that narrow frame of time or need the services. So we do have provisions for students to get medical assistance 24/7 whenever they're on campus. We have a non-emergent ambulance service that we contract with to get students to those situations that, you know, are not dire, but still there needs to be some sort of medical care. And also importantly is we have 3 major medical centers within a 5-mile radius of the university. And you know, as a parent, I know when my children were in school that, you know, it's important to know where those kind of resources are. I'm sorry, Gretchen.
That's
back
okay.
to you.
I was going to get to those things anyway. So that's okay. We've covered them. It's okay. I believe let's see. So let me go back to a few other thoughts and we'll get to some questions if anybody does have them. So I mentioned also that I would talk about our counseling services that we have. So out of the same office, our counselors are available the same hours that the nurse and doctors are. That's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. Appointments are able to be scheduled around a student's classes, of course, and they are available to meet throughout the school year. So it doesn't have to just be a one-time visit to those folks. If you're stressed, beginning of the school year for the students that are on, I know the parents have questions, but for the students that are on, the beginning of the school year can be stressful. It's very exciting, and there are a lot of fun things, but there's also a lot of adjustments that happen. And sometimes you just need somebody to talk to or vent to, and our counselors are there to listen and try to help you through that time. Again, like Mark said, though, these things don't always happen between 8:30 and 4:30. So if there's a moment in the evening or on a weekend, we have a 24-hour care line that's accessible to students to call into, to talk to a licensed psychologist and counselor. And those people will then connect the students back to our folks on campus so that we can follow up with the students at another time. So somebody, if they need any kind of assistance at any time, somebody is always available. And of course, our university police are also available as well. So if there's something a little bit more urgent, they're available to assist in getting a student to the right people at the right time, I guess. I think that's kind of what I wanted to cover. I believe there was, I just want to look here, there was a Q&A. Am I okay to go ahead and check this question now? There was a question about if we offer health insurance through the school, and we do not have a program right now that we offer directly through the school, but we certainly have companies that we can connect students to if health insurance is something that they need, and our health services staff would have that information, so we can get you that information after this webinar.
Yes, for all students who have committed and are attending the university, this summer you will receive email notification which will direct you online to fill out required health forms, and there'll also be an opportunity, as Gretchen mentioned, we don't have an extra health insurance policy that we require or anything along those lines, but we do have recommendations for you to subscribe to health insurance if it's not covered under your own plan or family or parent plans. So we do have the opportunity for that. The services that Gretchen mentioned are part of tuition, so there's not a separate fee there. Most of the services mentioned do not require appointments, so that if you're sick, you get seen very quickly. Our counseling staff works very expeditiously as well in terms of seeing students. So, and there is no charge with respect to those services. Did you have that, Gretchen? Did I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. No, I think that covered what I was going to talk about. So I think you wrapped it up nicely there.
Oh, well, thank you. And just for clarification purposes, Kishan, who's far more adept at backgrounds than I, has Weckesser Hall as one of our prominent campus buildings. Behind me is not part of campus. It's my home office. Over my right shoulder, yes, is a picture of Fire Island, which goes back to some earlier roots in my past, having relatives on Long Island. And then over my other shoulder is Cunningham Hall, which is another mansion on campus that was artfully done. And at one time I had my office there. So in this day and age of Zoom meetings, I just felt compelled to explain my background. Not my professional background, my literal. Okay, let us say we're going to shift gears markedly for a couple of moments. As I mentioned to you at the onset, diversity and inclusion is such a value at the institution. It's one of the core values, as a matter of fact, at the university. We feel that the actual people reflecting their diverse backgrounds is very important, and the opportunity to express themselves and learn from each other and feel included, a part of our community, is so valued. So to that end, I'm going to call on Dr. Georgia Costales, who's our executive director of the Center for Global Education and Diversity, to share with you a few of her offerings. Georgia?
Thank you, Mark. Indeed, greetings from the center. We're all the people you've been talking to, listening to the last few days, we're all very glad to welcome you to Wilkes. You'll find Wilkes to be a very warm community in general, and you'll be able to develop excellent working relationships with the faculty and staff, as well as with your classmates. One of the added values of college is interacting with people from other regions of the United States and from around the world, and perhaps from cultures that are new to young people coming out of high school. Before entering university, you may not have had many opportunities to interact with people who do not share your cultural, your regional, or your other identities. Among the many things you learn at college is the perspective of those who are unlike you. The Center for Global Education and Diversity offers support for students from underrepresented groups as well as international students, and it supports all students, faculty, staff who want to learn more about diversity and inclusion. There are about 150 international students on campus. They come from 16 different countries. In addition, about 15% of Wilkes undergraduate student body identifies as coming from an underrepresented group. The center has staff, and let me see if I can get us up here. Can you see that? The center has staff there to help you learn about Wilkes and to connect you to the many services that are available at Wilkes. We offer support to individuals. You're welcome to drop by anytime to say hello. Students, the parents, we're there 8:30 to 4:30. Our programs go later. We have programming designed to introduce Wilkes undergraduates to other American and international cultures, and where you can gather also with people of your own culture. And let me see, these are some of our activities. We're advisors, those of us on the staff, to various cultural groups and clubs, and we'll be happy to welcome you. The clubs are many different cultures, and you can join those clubs. Students can join those clubs. They don't have to be of the culture, but all they need to do is want to learn more about that culture. In addition, we offer support and programming for students who identify as LGBTQ, and we also offer ally and safe space training for the campus. One of the favorite events is Global Coffee Hour. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m., we host a low-key drop-in event where students and some faculty and staff stop by to enjoy conversation, to play games, to meet with the staff of the center, and there's always refreshments. Our building is the Max Roth Center on the corner of South Franklin and South Street, across from the library. And on the first floor, we have a global hub, which has television, computers, coffee. There are different areas in our building to hang out, to work with groups, or to work on assignments. And we look forward to seeing you there. We ask you to drop by, come see us, and we welcome you to Wilkes University. So any questions, please feel free.
Thank you very much, Georgia. Much appreciated. Well, let me spend a few moments talking about safety on campus. I mean, we are an urban campus. Again, just a little context, I've been at Wilkes for about 30 years now, so I can speak to the history, and particularly as it relates to safety. And the university has been a very, very safe campus throughout that period of time. We've had different emphasis on how we allocate resources for our public safety initiatives, but I can tell you, in part because of our past president, when he came on a few years ago, put an emphasis on looking at how we keep the campus safe and secure. Really had us take a look at whether or not we had best practices out there or not. We contracted a national firm to help us identify ways we could take a safe campus and make it even safer, and then invested a great deal of time and financial resources to really bolster this area. Again, not out of any spike in crime activity or anything like that, but just by way of enhancing the environment. So to that end, over the past few years, we have made several what I think are real positive changes. So let me walk through a few of those for you. And first of all, we employ right now 19 police officers who are trained. They have Act 120 training and certification, which means that they meet the criteria of any municipal police officer in the state of Pennsylvania, and do carry firearms. In addition to those 19 police officers, we also have several support staff that work within public safety, whether they're covering communications initiatives or parking enforcement. They're there to support the mission of public safety. Last year, the university transitioned those public safety officers, those 19 officers that I referenced, into a full-fledged police force. So what that means is the university police force has the authority at the university to enforce the laws of Pennsylvania and to make arrests for any criminal violations on the university and around the property. So we felt it was important that they were elevated to that level. The police force is also accredited and associated with the PA Chiefs of Police Accreditation, which includes 300 different police operations in the state of Pennsylvania. And what does that mean to us? What it means is, by virtue of this accreditation, our officers and our programs are being benchmarked against the standards within that organization. So we make sure that we're maintaining the best practices that are current out there in the field. In addition to the policing aspects, the walking campus and securing environments, they really take a community approach in public safety to educate the community through programs like self-defense, crime prevention, a great deal of emphasis in cooperation with other student life and student affairs areas on bystander training with respect to sexual harassment, sexual assault, alcohol and drug awareness training. So there's a wealth of programming opportunities that are designed to be prevention in nature as opposed to reactive. One of the, each year we survey our students with respect to levels of satisfaction at the university in all areas of what we do, and public safety and our campus police would be no different. And over the past few years, they have received some of the highest marks with respect to the work that they do as part of our student satisfaction survey. So we're very proud of the level of comfort that the university community has with our public safety and police operation. I just talk about one program that was implemented that I think is of great value to the individual student. It's called the Wilkes Shield. And this is an application that you would install on your phone, and it has a number of different features with safety in mind. I mean, first and foremost, it gives you a one-button opportunity to either contact our public safety and police directly or contact 911. So you would be talking to someone immediately. Another interesting feature there is that there's a geo-tracking part of that, so that we would be able to identify where that call came from in the event that you were unable to or not wanting to give a verbal message at that point. So very, very useful feature. Another feature on the app is something called iReport. Again, a one-button opportunity where you can either anonymously or report your name, but you can identify an activity that you might be concerned about on or around campus. It also has the feature that you could take a picture of whatever that activity might be, so that our police in real time could be responding to that sort of emergency or that sort of situation that you raised. So again, another feature of the Shield application. One that I find very user-friendly and useful is something called Friend Watch, where if, for instance, you're going from your residence hall to the library and you just want to let a friend or two or up to 3 friends know that you're making that trip, they can follow your path to the library by virtue of their application, and it will let them know that you've made it safely to where you're going. So again, it's really fascinating how we can use these programs. And it provides students with the opportunity between the hours of 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. Monday through Friday to secure an escort or a ride from one part of campus to the next. If for whatever reason a student is not comfortable in traversing on foot, they could contact the Colonel Connect program through the application. And then there is also another area on the application where there's a campus resource app. So some of it deals with how you can contact people under emergency circumstances, but also would include parking information, the bursar's office. I mean, it'll even tell you what's being offered for dinner in the dining hall. So it's kind of an all-inclusive application there. So that's the Shield application. In addition to that, another thing I'd like to mention is that when students are enrolled at the university, they're automatically enrolled in our emergency notification system. So if there is something that's going on campus, they cannot create your own account for this, but you can have your student sign you up under their account for the same text messages and the same email messages. So that's out there and that's available. And one of the last safety things I'd like to mention is that we have a very responsive and active behavioral threat assessment team. So if there's a concern, there's a behavior out there that's been identified by a student, a staff, or a faculty person and gets reported to our office or through public safety, we have a team of professionals, including representatives from counseling, student affairs, and campus police to talk about, what exactly that behavior, what's concerning about that and what would be the most appropriate action to take there. Again, a little bit of gear shifting, but parking sometimes comes up as purview. We are an urban campus, so parking is at a premium, but we've done a great job over the past few years to expand parking opportunities. First-year students are certainly invited to participate in the parking application process. I know for some residential campuses out there, there's not that same opportunity for first-year students to even apply, but we do have applications that are available to new students as the summer progresses there. So those are some of the things that I mean, it's not an all-inclusive list by no means, but some things that I wanted to mention relative to safety on campus. And by sharing that as a member of our COVID-19 task force here, please know we have every intention to begin the school year on campus, live classes, a robust residential program, a full athletic program. But also know that this is a safety discussion, that we would never do anything to compromise the safety of our current students or incoming students. So we're closely following the guidance of the CDC, federal, state, local officials to help inform us as we make decisions. And we'll be making decisions as quickly as we have enough information to make them. And I know that's kind of a vague answer, but in this ever-changing day-to-day situation, unfortunately, it's where we are. Do know that we also work very close with colleagues in the field at other colleges and universities, and we have a risk and compliance office, as well as contract a third-party risk and compliance group to provide us even more information as to what best practices will be recommended as we move forward.
and be in touch with the university if they have specific questions about how things work or their students. So maybe just some parent tips might be a good way to round out the session.
Okay, Gretchen, do you want to take a first stab at that?
This one. So in terms of, for parents, in terms of if they have questions, I guess as the semester starts, the school year starts, there are always questions. We'll try to answer as many as we can before until you really start going with the semester. You don't know what you need to know at that point. So if parents have questions about anything, the Student Affairs Office is usually a pretty safe place to start with calling us. If we don't know the right answer, we certainly should know the right people to get you in touch with to get you the right answer. That would be my first piece of advice is find us at Student Affairs. The other thing is that we will talk with you about your student, but obviously if the student is having an issue, we would always ask for the student to come in and talk with us so we can work with them one-on-one and try to connect them to the right people that they need to talk to either get help with the class or to get to the counseling center or whatever it might be. So we work very closely with a variety of folks around campus. And like I said, we should be able to find you the right people to answer questions that you might have. One little piece of advice from the years that I've been at the university, I've been there not quite as long as Mark, but 22 years at this point almost. And I think the one thing I hear parents say is that they're asking their student questions, they're inquiring about how classes are going and things, and the student simply says, fine, everything's fine. And that can be a dangerous word. So what I would encourage parents to do is try to that you have coming up. Getting engaged in that kind of conversation with your student can be hard. And it's very different when they're away from home and they're not sitting and doing homework at the dining room table or something next to you. But dig deep with those questions and ask them. I think that's the best way I can.
Students and make sure you're having meaningful discussions and call us if you're losing sleep over anything, please don't. As we talk about in orientation, and we mentioned in this session, we're open 8:30 to 4:30, but problems don't fall necessarily within those parameters. And I know in student affairs, and not only do we have people on duty 24 hours a day, we avail our cell phones to folks as well. If something's going to have you distressed and losing sleep over it, then please make sure you're in communication with us.
I have one other thing to add, Mark, actually, too. One of the things we started last year was a parent portal of sorts. It's called Campus ESP. And so those of us that work in higher ed, we know that there are kind of cycles to the school year when some of the high stress times are, maybe around midterms and as finals arise. We try to post things through that Campus ESP app that will kind of share with parents maybe what their child might be facing at that time, some tips on how to help handle those kinds of things. So that's something, well, again, Mark mentioned orientation. We'll have that information out there as the school year gets started, so you as parents can sign up for that and kind of get some guidance over the course of the year on how to work with your child through their first year of school. And the other thing is that if this is your first child going away to school, you probably have a lot of questions, but even if it's your second or third child going away to school, every child has a different reaction to the whole process. So keep in mind that this might be a very different experience. If this is your second or third going off to school, this one might have different issues. So be open to that, I guess.
Great, thank you all so much. And I would also add social media is also a good way to stay engaged with the university. We have very active accounts on Instagram and Facebook, and I believe we have a group just for parents and families that we push information out as well. I know on the admission side, if you're not currently part of that group, we do have a Facebook group for admitted students, and then for admitted students' parents, so that you can already begin engaging with us. I don't think we have any other questions. I'm going to just like to thank the panelists for being with us today, and I appreciate all of your insight. We are recording this session, so we'll be sure to post this to the website, and then you can, if you missed any important details, you can come back and visit that again. So we really appreciate your time, everybody. We still have a few sessions left in our virtual admitted student week. So tomorrow there will be an opportunity to meet with some of our current students and talk to them. They'll be sharing their experiences with all of you. That's really always a great session to hear directly from the students. So I encourage you to sign up for that if you haven't already. And then of course, as we've been saying all week, Friday is our blue and gold day, so we hope that you will join us in wearing blue and gold. Wear and share your Wilkes spirit. Put your t-shirts on, and then make sure you take a selfie and tag us with #WilkesU, and we'll be looking forward to seeing your Wilkes swag out there on Friday. So again, thank you, panelists. We really appreciate your information, and we hope that you all have a wonderful evening. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.